Hold on, it ain't start raining yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was saying. You know what I'm saying? The sun is a black hole, man. You know what I mean? And in other words, that just means it's a portal. You know what I'm saying? It's a portal. You know what I'm saying? So the pyramids, man, it was more than just a tomb. You know what I mean? They called the pyramids uh in ancient Egypt, they called the pyramids Mer. You know what I'm saying? MER, which means uh place of ascension. You know what I'm saying? It's very telling. It's pretty obvious what they talk about. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? The pyramid had multiple uses. It was used as a tomb, a place of ceremony. You know, when you say like it's a tomb, like when I say that, like you already know, like the Egyptians, like how they concept of like death and transition, especially for the pharaohs, for the royals, was very deep and intricate process. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, mummification, you know, sarcophagus, you know, burying them in the tomb with, you know, all they memorabilia, like all they material things and stuff. You know what I'm saying? They put all that stuff there as if they was gonna come back or something. You know what I mean? Which low key they were. You know, it's a reason why those royal families had a lineage. You know, going from Ramesses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, pyramids was a place of transition. So, in other words, it was a Stargate. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And like I said in the previous video, the sun is a portal. It's a black hole to another dimension. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's what the pyramids are. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because shapes are vehicles. You know what I mean? Shapes are vehicles, especially geometrical shapes. You know what I mean? So like the pyramid, why it was designed the way it was is because it was designed in that way, that shape, to harness energy, to channel it. You know what I'm saying? Out the pinpoint at the top. You know what I'm saying? This is why the pyramids align with certain constellations. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, stars are portals, aka Stargates. You know what I'm saying? Stars are portals. You know what I mean? And the pyramids was a vehicle for ascension. You know what I mean? For your spirit. You know what I mean? Like I said, they had a lineage that continued on because as they transitioned, they had another, you know, body, vehicle to carry on that spirit's you know, reign. You know what I'm saying? So like they used the pyramids because the Egyptians knew about reincarnation. Like they really knew about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when it came to reincarnation and all of that, they had extensive awareness about it. You know what I mean? Just, you know, looking at their religion and how detailed that was, the many different gods and goddesses that represent all the dimensions of the universe. You know what I mean? All religions do the same thing. It ain't doing nothing but categorizing reality. That's all religion is. You know what I'm saying? But people deify it. People who don't understand it, who don't overstand, they deify it and become lost. You know what I'm saying? Because you're giving your power away to something that's just an idea. You know what I'm saying? But you the one that created the idea. Without you, it doesn't exist, you know? So it's just like, religions are a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only good thing that comes from a religion is the fact that it categorizes things. It like gives things like a place, you know what I'm saying? For you to understand like what it's connected to. You know what I mean? That's why many adepts, like people who really study shit, they study all religions and they use all of them, you know, to interpret the symbology of life. You know what I'm saying? For my like psychonauts, for my people who take plant medicine, you know, if you was to take mushrooms or any psychedelic, when you in them altered states of consciousness, you know what I'm saying, you might see these deities that humanity has created. You know what I'm saying? And all these things are just archetypes. You know? These are just archetypes of an individual. You know what I mean? That's all it is. That's all it is. And you interacting with that archetype is either you repelling or embracing that part of yourself. You know? Life is a puzzle, man. Put the pieces together. You know what I'm saying? Put them together. When you see the bigger picture, man, what you see in the picture is you. You know what I mean? The pyramids was a Stargate for transition. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why those constellations line up with the pyramids is because that's where that spirit dwells from. That's where that spirit came from. You ever heard of, you know, for every star is born, you know, for every baby that's born on Earth, so is a star in the sky. You know what I'm saying? That's a universal fact. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. Because as above, so below. Like, everything is connected. You know what I mean? Like, I told you, these are holes. You know what I'm saying? When you see a star in the sky, it's a white hole. You know what I mean? This is where you fell from as a spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? When they say they fell from antiquity, that's what they talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like, you fell from a higher realm. Like, this, in this body, your shadow, these are afterthoughts. You know what I mean? Like, the backdrop of the actions you take in a higher realm. You know what I'm saying? But that shit be going way past people's head, man. You know what I'm saying? They can't think that deep, but, you know, there's many, you know, what they say, the truth is hidden in plain sight. Like, it's thrown in your face every day. This life is a simulation. You know what I'm saying? It's true facts. It's facts, man. You know what I mean? But the pharaohs and all them royals, they use, you know, the way they transition in life and death to incarnate, to maintain their rule over the people. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing that those in power are obsessed with today. You know what I'm saying? They ain't doing nothing but piggybacking off Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? That's what masonry is. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, they just want to be immortal. You know what I'm saying? But you see how, like, when you don't go with the natural flow of life, how dejected and um backwards you become, and how inorganic you become. You know what I'm saying? To the point where you become cancerous and parasitical and anti-life. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Just because you want to be immortal, just because you want to live forever. You know what I'm saying? When you just need to take your turn, man. You know what I'm saying? And let energy flow and cycle into as many forms. You know what I'm saying? You still gonna live forever, technically. You know what I'm saying? It's a choice. You know what I'm saying? This shit is never ending. You know what I mean? You just pick which reality you want to take part in. You know what I'm saying? Just like how I decided to not take part in no, degenerative lifestyles. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm from, all niggas glorify is the streets. You know what I'm saying? I don't glorify stuff like that because I see what it does to our people. It don't solve any problems. You know what I'm saying? It's just a over abundance of masculine energy. You know what I'm saying? It's the imbalance of masculinity. You know what I'm saying? Because people think just because they partake in that lifestyle that they becoming a man, or that they gaining some type of power, but that should make you weak. You know what I'm saying? Because you so fixed on this world that you ain't really seeing the overall impact of what your actions are actually doing to the rest of reality. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know what I mean? For you to change the world, you have to change yourself. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, like, the actions you take as an individual influence and ripples out in the rest of reality. And, the things that come in contact with you, they see you as an example and they become inspired. They gain hope that the future can change and not be the same cycle of bullshit, you know what I mean, for, until we all destroy each other. Because that's all that path leads to, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's how you make predictions, you know what I'm saying? It's not that hard to make prediction, you know what I mean? You just making a synapses based off the energies that's present, now, you know what I mean? So when you know how energy flows and works, you can overstand and contemplate and imagine, like, what realities can manifest from that. You know what I'm saying? Get creative, because you need your imagination. This is how you predict things. You know what I mean? Because everything that has ever existed has already, played out in some type of way. You know what I'm saying? It has. That's how long existence has, been a thing, I'll be going on my little tangents, bro, but, like, I'm a very passionate person, so when I get like that, you know what I mean? It's just a pure example of channeling. Like, you know what I mean? When I heard people say they channel stuff, I really didn't understand what they were saying until I started looking at myself. When I would get like this, and I would do this in a mirror, then I realized, like, oh, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is exactly what channeling is when you go in that that meditation, you know what I'm saying? Like, where you ain't really thinking about nothing, you know what I'm saying? You just going straight off the dome, like, without, like, an afterthought. Is just coming straight through, you know what I'm saying? Like, freestyle, like, type stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's channeling, bro. That's you channeling, you know what I mean? Because, the things that you express with this body, like I said, come from a higher source. You know what I'm saying? The more you acknowledge that, the more you this stuff will make sense, you know. But like I said, you know, the pyramids align with the Orion constellation because that's where, you know, those spirits from Orion come from. Like, you know, that's their spiritual family. Like I said, that's why they're able to have a lineage with the same name over and over again, because it's the same spirit, you know, taking that highway, that Stargate, back and forth. That's why they would, like I said, that's why they would leave all their material things with them, because they was gonna come back to see it. You know what I'm saying? And that goes more into like what the pyramids were for. It was not only a tomb, but a place for, you know, them to preserve that individual's body. So like that individual had a signature so it can know, like, you know, where to go. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, all this stuff just aid the processing reincarnation or incarnation, where you intentionally incarnate. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they was doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to talk about that. I do got part 2. You know what I'm saying? Or we talk a little bit more about the discoveries that they made with the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? You know, like I said, like the pyramids wasn't just a tomb. It was also a source of energy, a power source. You know what I mean? For the populace and the surrounding city. You know what I'm saying? How? You know what I'm saying? Why? You know what I mean? It goes into all the stuff I talked about in the previous videos, especially water. You know what I'm saying? That's why it was built near the Nile. That's why any city is built near the Nile, because, you know, where water flows, energy goes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Water gets things moving, bro. Water gets energy manifested. You know what I'm saying? Because of movement, motion. You know, in that discovery, you know, they basically found like some caverns underneath the Khufu. I think it's Khufu pyramid. You know what I'm saying? Like, they found some underground caverns or structures or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's a lot of controversy over that stuff. You know, like it's funny, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, after seeing everything that happened, like, what I got out of it is, like, you know, they just want to bring to your awareness, and when I say they, I mean, you know, the greater powers that be, the ones that's outside of the box. You know what I'm saying? Looking in the box. They just want us to be aware that, like, yeah, there's stuff underneath the pyramids. You know what I'm saying? They just want us to be aware that. They want that conversation to be had. They want us to be aware of that. Now, on the surface, inside the box, you know, the powers that be, these guys that want to, you know, control mainstream consensus on things, because they need absolute confirmation about everything, because they don't really know anything unless they put in some complicated way of figuring it out. You know, all that stuff was a psyop. You know what I mean? If you don't know what a psyop is just a way to spread propaganda, you know, misinformation, to sway the people, to sway perception, to control perception. You know what I mean? Of an idea, of a subject. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to be thinking, you know what I mean, outside the box. They don't want you to do that, bro. Because, you know, you empower yourself when you know these things, bro. You know what I'm saying? And quite literally, learning this stuff will help you know, give you the knowledge and know-how how to create things for yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's why they don't want you to know these things. That's never going to change, bro. You know what I mean? That's always going to be a fact. You know what I'm saying? If there's individuals ruling over you, they will limit and spoon feed you information just so you don't know how to do for yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's all it boils down to. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, when information like this comes out, they will try to, you know, when they discover something that's big, that's like very impactful, they will try to water it down. They will try to, like, you know, hide it. You know what I mean? To make it seem like, you know, oh, that's not what it really was. You know what I'm saying? But, like, you know, the thing that went viral was that the CGI image. You know what I'm saying? Not that infrared image that they had. It was the CGI one. You know what I mean? And for me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I already knew that it was stuff underneath the pyramids because I know how that stuff works. So, you know, when the discovery happened, I automatically already knew what they was talking about. That's why the CGI image went viral, because that actually bears more truth than, you know, whatever they trying to throw in your face. You know what I'm saying? Which was that infrared image. And that infrared image didn't really confirm anything or discover anything. Like, when you look at the image, it doesn't give you confirmation or an inclination to nothing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, you know, when you look at that image, you just like, why was this like so like blown up? They could have kept that a secret if that's all they was gonna show people. You know what I'm saying? But that, like I said, that's just to let you know it's a psyop, bro. They trying to finesse. They trying to finesse, bro. Something ain't right. You know what I mean? Like I said, I already know what the pyramids, like how it's supposed to operate. It needs a source of power. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, a water source. You know what I mean? When you look at CGI image, it had pillars that was reaching down into an underwater reservoir. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, where water flows, energy goes. So you need that water. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at a actual nuclear power plant, it operate in the same way as that image was showing. You know what I'm saying? It's just more contained and it's smaller. You know what I'm saying? And it's, you know, the design is just different, but like, essentially it's the same thing, bro. Essentially it's the same thing, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because like I said, when you really know something, when you know, like, you don't need to, you know, you don't need to really create these intricate shapes to, like, create a device or something. You can use very crude things like a crystal, you know what I mean? Certain metals, and you put this stuff together and, like, it'll do stuff. You know what I'm saying? It'll just do stuff, you know? You know what I mean? But like I said, the shape is a vehicle for the energy. So, you know, the shape is channeling the energy in a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? It's either containing it, like how cubes contain things. You know what I'm saying? You can, when you think of a cube, you can think of many things. You can think of a house. You know, you can think of a prison cell. You know what I'm saying? You can think of just a box. You know, like, the cube is a container for energy. It's to trap energy. You know what I'm saying? Because of its flat surfaces. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at the pyramid, you know, it's designed to point in a certain direction. So whatever energy is contained in the pyramid is going to funnel out and be channeled through that pinpoint at the top. You know, it's very easy to see when you just look at it. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Like, that CGI image was actually very telling. You know what I mean? Look way more more intricate than what they showed. You know what I mean? What they want you to pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I said, the pyramid was a advanced power plant. You know what I'm saying? Using hydrophonics. I'm only using that word because that's the thing that rolled off the top of my head was hydrophonics. But using hydro, electric, you know what I mean, energy, and harnessing the energy from the free energy that's in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Because the earth, it's always moving. It's always, because the earth is alive. You know what I'm saying? That's why so many things manifest from Mother Earth. That's why it's called a mother, because Earth is a womb. You know what I'm saying? For life. You know what I mean? But all these buildings are intricately laid right next to each other. You know what I'm saying? For a reason. You know what I'm saying? And going back to how like the pyramids were aligned with certain constellations, like the Egyptians weren't the first ones to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like all ancient cultures did that in the past. Like every single ancient culture. You know what I'm saying? Even indigenous cultures like Native American cultures all across America. You know what I'm saying? We all did stuff like that. They call burial mounds. You know what I'm saying? Look it up. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't never heard of a burial mound look like a pyramid, look like a primitive pyramid. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what it is. You know what I'm saying? And they use this stuff for the same purpose as the Egyptians. Same exact purpose. You know what I'm saying? Except it wasn't to rule over people. It was just to have, connection with each other spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Like real family. But the family extended out, not just here on earth, but in physically, but like, spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what this stuff was about, man. Like, that's what it was all about. That's why when somebody dies, like, you don't want to, like, you don't want to give the body away to, like, yo, I just found some strawberries just growing. Oh my gosh. Bro, these are strawberries, bro. That's so crazy, man. Yo, that's so fire. Oh my god. Look at this. That's a strawberry, bro. Look at that. That one look fucked up. But look, it's a strawberry, bro. That is crazy, son. That's so sick. Oh my god. Oh man, I love nature. Okay. You know what I'm saying? See, like I was trying to say, like, if y'all stick with me, bro, y'all learn a lot of stuff. I don't only just want to talk about, outside the box things. I also want to teach people how to do stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like mycology, some agriculture, you know what I'm saying? Like, some growing a little herb, you know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean, growing that herb, you know what I'm saying? I want to cook, you know what I'm saying? I want to cook. I love cooking, man. You know what I'm saying? I know how to make medicine and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, if y'all just fuck with your boy, man, like, we can really create a dope community, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm only doing this to inspire you to be a part of what we gonna need in the future for sure. Because the type of stuff that they creating right now, and the type of way they trying to move in on us, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? They trying to make it seem like we ain't gonna have nothing for ourselves. But like, you know, that's what's gonna be their downfall is, you know, they disrespecting how things naturally are, you know what I'm saying? But really their time is up for real. Like they don't even really know that, but like, you know, before shit get better, you know what I mean, it's gonna get a little bit worse. You know what I'm saying? You just need to prepare yourself, man. That's why I'm telling y'all all this stuff, man, so y'all can question and open your eyes, bro. Stop being distracted by a bunch of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Got wild strawberries just growing in the yard. That shit blow my mind, bro. Like, you know, with nature, bro, you know, what you give is what you get, you know what I'm saying? So like when you have the intention, like, you know, in mycology, you know what I'm saying, like if you go look for foraging for mushrooms, you know what I'm saying, you gotta notice like what they habitat will be, what type of mediums they grow off of, you know what I'm saying? So like you can know all that information, have an intention to find these certain mushrooms in certain areas, and like you may not find nothing, you know what I'm saying? And then you might all of a sudden just stumble upon it. Once you give up, you know what I'm saying? You know, nature just give it right to you. You know what I'm saying? Just right in your face. Just when you was about to give up. You know what I'm saying? That's how the life be working, bro. You know what I'm saying? Right before you give up, shit just show up, man. You know what I'm saying? That's how shit happen in my life right now, man. And like I said, I can't do nothing but be grateful, man. I'm extremely grateful. You know what I mean? Because the legacy, it ain't over yet and it's just begun, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do great things. We are going to do great things. Everyone together, you know what I'm saying? I know this to be true and a super fact. So, until next time, YouTube, I done yapped enough. You know what I'm saying? That's why I can't wait to do live streams. But y'all gotta like, comment on the video. You know what I'm saying? Share the video. You know what I'm saying? See y'all later, man.